this is Dan Ferrisi, Group Editor, Commercial and Security with Emerald, here at the HDBaseT Alliance booth at ISE 2024 for another of our panel discussions. This time we're going to be talking about immersive experiences and experiential AV, the idea of really immersing yourself in an environment. We have a great panel here today to discuss it with us. We have Rocco and Colin and Joe. Would each of you in turn just like to introduce yourself and talk about why you're here?
So thank you, Dan. I'm Rocco Pucci from Epson. I'm a business development manager for Immersive Experience, especially for Europe.
Thanks, Dan. So I'm Colin Yellowley. I'm the founder and operations director of Igloo Vision Limited. We're a UK-based company that's been working on immersive installations and events since 2008. So we've got quite a lot of experience in the market.
Hello, I'm Joe Whitesides. I'm with AVI-SPL in a subgroup and overlay called XTG, and we support experiential projects and ideation globally and have a lot of different departments to handle that.
So this question is a jump ball for anyone who wants to kind of dive in, but it seems to me, and let me know if you disagree, that especially post-pandemic, when people have been stuck in their houses for so long, when they do go out of their homes into a commercial environment or some kind of a communal environment, they want a place where they feel enveloped in the experience, where it's immersive, where they really can have some kind of a tactile feel to the audiovisual they're engaging with. Do you agree with that? And how is the integration community, the vendor community, how are they leaning into that demand for more experiential and immersive environments?
Well, I think we're leaning into that by creating this specialist group to support it. I think a lot of people know AVI-SPL as the world's largest AV integrator or what have you, but don't understand their track record in having supported these types of environments for years, whether we themed entertainment or venues or something. And the things that we're looking at now are retail, immersive retail, ways to get people back into stores and create that as a destination, or supporting museum-like environments and things. So I think it's really key as people have upped the quality of their experiences in the home and they want to get out more post-pandemic. All of these different things like touring exhibitions and things, they have really increased their vividness and the palpability of the content. And so when we're designing, we're thinking about it, we're trying to figure out how do we make this a lasting and memorable experience that does immerse them. It doesn't have to be all video, it could be sound, touch, whatever. And we're thinking about those things within our business.
Yeah, well, we've noticed that a big shift in the business since post-pandemic up to COVID. We were very much an experiential company and building immersive experiences for people. But now the whole collaborative workspace and taking that into 360 has become a big thing. We're finding people like Microsoft, one of our biggest customers, they're looking at using reasons to pull people back into the offices. So, we can have your Teams experience, which is great as a single user, but it's in no way immersive. And there's a reason to go in to have a digital hub where it's projected all around you. And the content could be really varied. It could be, the platform that we've developed at the moment at Igloo does go from video playback. It could be video conferencing. It's Microsoft 365 being shared across teams, across different networks, all the way through to Unity projects or real-time content. And what we've really noticed is a market, this content is there for the first time. We've really shifted into things like the Apple Vision Pro is revitalizing the VR market, and all that VR 360 content is the thing that's really enabling these things to work. Before now, you were very much, you had specialists, you had to get people in who knew 360 as a business, but now their content is just everywhere, so that's making a real big change for us.
Yeah, I agree with you guys 100%, right? No much left to say. What we realized is that especially after the pandemic, the number of projects went up. So it raised. We have a lot of projects, especially also in Europe, and a lot of big projects. And Epson is here to provide the best technology for it. We are focusing on products for these environments. And we are actually doing probably the biggest projects at the moment in Europe and in the world. Yeah.
So we are at the HDBaseT Alliance booth. So I want to talk about HDBaseT technology a little bit. You mentioned big projects. I believe there's a museum in Hamburg that may well be involving HDBaseT technology that also reflects this move toward experiential destinations. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. It's exactly that. It's the digitalartmuseum.com. So you can check it out on digitalartmuseum.com. It is probably the biggest digital art museum in Europe. Not probably, it is. With almost 400 projectors from Epson. And it is indeed a HDBaseT technology based installation. So HDBaseT is still here. It's a proven technology. It is reliable. Like our projectors too.
Reliable and proven.
Yeah, so HDBaseT is an important part of what we're doing, and we've found that over the years since we've been building these immersive spaces, we've always been on that front of the technology wave, waiting for the right bits of things to come along. And when we first started, video signal was the primary concern in this sort of multi-projector usability. So HDBaseT kind of ticked off that whole thing of having to run long signals, video cables between server rooms and immersive rooms. Without that technology, we would be really struggling. Same as projection. You know, if Epson hadn't brought out the XO1 and the XO2 UST lenses, that would have not really been able to make us have that shift into that new area. And we find that again with 4K. That's the next big wave for us, technology-wise, is suddenly the capability goes up. And 4K, we would struggle with that previously, but HDBaseT enables us to deliver that. And then the GPUs and the processing power is now there to get to that point. And, you know, and it's just funny how all these things sort of align just at the right time, just as you need it, the technology's there. But yeah, it's really interesting times.
I'll just say that, for us, content is king. So we have to figure out ways to get content out of the box and then get that to the viewer. And signal transport is something that we're thinking about all the time. And the more we partner with great creative agencies who are making this content, the criterion that they have, more resolution, more color depth, and that means more and different types of sources. And I think one of the cool things about HDBaseT is its wide adoption and interoperability with other things, because we're using such a diverse range of products to do projects that we can't always keep it in one company's ecosystem. So then with all the people that have adapted to this, it's been great. We're excited because immersive technologies involve a lot of sensors and potentially three-dimensional cameras and things that pick up things and adjust content to environment and react to people visiting. And some of the new things that are coming out with USB 3.2 that I've seen, I have a lot of promise in terms of how we're going to connect things into our systems, transport that signal back to our processing engines, and then create fast and reliable experiences for these venues.
Very exciting future ahead. So a question I have about immersion and experiential AV is I've heard some integrators say, we're not just technicians anymore. We view ourselves as storytellers. We're memory makers. Like, is that the way of the future for technology professionals? We're not simply installing systems. We're delivering outcomes. And beyond that, we're helping to tell stories. We're helping to make memories. We're helping to generate smiles. We're much more than our technology. We're the feeling that you get when you experience our rooms. Is that the way technology professionals should think about themselves?
Well, I think it starts that way for sure. Like even in the old days of my career, I had to put myself in the mindset of the architect to understand how did my stuff integrate into that environment without ruining their concept. And so I think when we're thinking about the content creators who are telling a story, we put ourselves in their shoes to say, well, how are we going to make sure that we maintain the integrity of this story, that all the choices down the road are supportive of it? And sometimes there's a lot of technology that we need to do that, and sometimes it's the minimum to make the point. And that's definitely something that my department is focused on, is putting ourselves in the mindset of storytellers. We don't specifically try to fill that gap of storyteller because we work with so many different, I've said it already, creative agencies who are out there creating experiences and immersive concepts in partnership with marketing teams and other folks within our customers. But by being able to think like that and sometimes step into that world, sometimes we get to put our pinky toe into the water of doing some storytelling in our design, and that's really exciting when we get that chance. But I think there's definitely aspects in the profession where we want to be supportive of that, and I think back to your question, technicians all the way up through programmers and other professionals, designers, project engineers who are able to think about story first will understand better and then deliver the right result, ultimately for the viewer or for the client.
Yeah, absolutely right. And what we're finding with a lot of these immersive spaces is the approach for content creators is actually quite different. You have to make content people aware of the power of an immersive space. We're so used to going into a movie theatre or our living rooms and sitting and engaging with a screen in front of us, but actually there's all these other senses that come into play, not just our sight and sound, the traditional five senses, but there's your sense of spatial awareness, there's the peripheral vision, there's things that we know of that's going on all around us all the time, which we are always aware of, but up until now, media has not been able to give us that experience, and it's something that really needs to be lent into and worked on in the whole experience end to end. So yeah, educating the content creators is really key in these spaces.
Again, guys, I absolutely agree with you. And last year, for example, I was in a classical museum with my family, with my wife and two little kids, and we were behind the rope, looking or watching a picture. And my little one said, well, it's nice, but that's it. And a week after, we visited a kind of an experience museum, digital museum, and then they said, wow, what's that? That's amazing. So what I want to say is that not only the vendors, not only the manufacturers or integrators, but especially the end customer has to think like that, because if he wants to survive, if he wants to sell tickets in the future, he has to be creative. And especially the generation coming now, these guys are natives, technology natives, right? They don't want to be behind the rope looking at a picture. They want to experience something that these guys are, I seeing it in my little ones, that they're totally different, right? Yeah. So I think, yes, it's a good point then. And we all have to change a bit our mind. And we at Epson are also starting to do it, right? Yeah.
Well, I think what we've talked about is making these commercial spaces magnets, whether it's an office drawing people back, a museum drawing people in. It's about creating something that people can't imagine their life without and then being drawn into it by the technology. Thank you so much for your insights. If you have any closing thoughts, I'd love to hear them. But otherwise, I'd just like to thank you so much for illuminating this immersive trend for us.